you be buying property in your sole name or a limited company? Unfortunately, I do not have the answer to that question, and neither does anybody else, because there's no one right way to do this, all depending on your personal circumstances. So myself, personally, I own around 40 properties. I have several businesses that are doing mid six figures of income. So my circumstance is going to be very different from yours. And I do buy in a limited company, my properties, but to do with my personal circumstances. So in this video, what I am going to do is not tell you how to buy this, but give you some of the things you need to look out for to figure out, should I be buying in my personal name or in a limited company? But a quick disclaimer before we get started with that, I am not a tax advisor. I am not an accountant. This is not tax advice. This is designed to get you thinking, to be able to go off and then ask the right advice from the right people. It's just designed to get your juices flowing in your brain. Again, coming back to you individually, what are your personal circumstances? In property, I advise everybody to be a deal sourcer, and have got a deal sourcing business. So deal sourcing typically sells deals for around 5K per month. So if you're pretty active at this, it is not beyond the realms of possibility that you could be earning 10K per month. If you've got income like that, then you're not worried about paying yourself personally straight away, because you can potentially pay yourself personally from your deal sourcing activities. Everybody should be a deal sourcer in property, by the way. Watch this video here if you want to understand why, but it makes sense for you to do this alongside whatever strategy you're doing. But then reverse the angle on that. Say you're not deal sourcing, which you should be, but let's say you're not deal sourcing and you've got a job that gives you 2K a month. It's a very different circumstances it does if you've got something that's giving you 10K a month. So the things you want to start thinking about is, what income level am I at the moment and what are my income goals? Because this has a massive impact on what you're going to do. And the reason behind this is because of Section 24. The government brought in, I think it was around 4 or 5 years ago, Section 24, and they've slowly phased this in. Section 24, if you're not familiar with it, is the inability to offset your interest against your tax bill. So for example, if you've got a property, for easy math, that rents out for £1,000 and your mortgage is £500, if that's interest, before this new rule, you could offset that interest if it's in your personal name, but in a limited company, you can still offset that interest. So if you're a high rate taxpayer in your personal name, you would then pay tax on the turnover theoretically, rather than just the profit you'll make, the £500 profit. So it's a big significant difference in tax. So on a tax standpoint, if you're a high rate taxpayer, you will pay a significant amount less tax if you have it in a limited company. So this is where you got to see, what is your income now and what is your future income goals. For example, if you was a couple and there was two of you and you was happy to live off around 100K per year and you stayed under the higher rate tax bracket, it might be better positioned to do this as a sole trader, because the reason behind this is year-end tax accountancy costs are more as a limited company. Your mortgage rates are more as a limited company. Everything costs more to run and operate as a limited company. And also you've got to think about your double taxation. So most people that run a limited company will pay corporation tax and then they'll take a dividend. So you'll be paying tax twice. So depending on how much profit is within that company, it might not be better. And if you want to stay between two of you or between one of you under 50K or 100K for two of you, then it might be worth considering potentially setting it up in your sole name. Similar again, talking about partnership and relationships, you might have a spouse that is on a low income or is a stay-at-home dad or mum, and you might want to utilize their tax allowance. You might buy a certain amount of properties utilizing their tax allowance, and then the rest of the properties within the limited company, and then you draw money out as you sort of choose to. So again, one of the other things you want to be thinking about is this a long-term wealth building or instant income building activity, your properties? So for me, I'm not worried around the monthly cash flow. Although I like cash flow, I want my assets to give me cash flow. I'm more worried about the long-term wealth and legacy from this, because I do not take my income from that, apart from some of the properties still in my sole name, but that's a video for another day. But as general, I've got enough income from my other businesses to think about my income rather than from my properties. So again, if it's for the future, definitely probably more weighing towards a limited company rather than in your sole name. Another big thing, I speak to lots and lots of people on property, help lots of people in their journey on property as well. And one of the big things that comes up, why are you doing this? What is your why behind this? Legacy, it comes up high on the Richter scale of people that I help. So if you're thinking about legacy, one of the things with a limited company, you can minimize, or some cases eliminate, inheritance tax. Look, no tax is popular, but inheritance tax is super unpopular. And if you built up a large portfolio, your kids could be burdened with a really, really ridiculous inheritance tax bill, which is not in my opinion, a fair thing to do. So if you set up as a limited company and as a trust or as an alphabet share sort of structure, you can potentially sidetrack this, minimize this, or completely avoid this. I'm not an accountant, definitely go and seek the legal advice on that, but there is ways to massively reduce that in a limited company where, in my experience, there's pretty much no ways to reduce that if you buy them in your sole name. So if legacy was a thing as well, you might want to be thinking about a limited company. But again, really emphasizing on this, it's all about your personal circumstances, where you are now and what you're doing. You do need the right advice. As I said, I'm not an advisor. Look, take Maria as an example. Maria come through my coaching program and she'd been on a different coaching program previously. And with advice, you need to make sure you get the right advice, because not all accountants are made equal. So you've got to think of this like a doctor. You go see a generalist doctor and they will give you generous advice. But if you've got something wrong with your heart, you need to see a cardiologist. Something wrong with your brain, you need to see a neurologist. So with accountancy, it's the same. You need specialist people. It will take about 130 years to read the full tax code, so not one accountant will understand all the areas in each area. But unlike doctors, accountants don't necessarily know their own field or know where to not drift it out of their own field, if that makes sense. A lot of accountants, I don't know what it is with accountants, and I'm not criticizing accountants, I've got some great relationships with accountants, but a lot of accountants will give you advice in areas that they're not expert in. Unlike a doctor will say, go and see the cardiologist. It's not my advice. I give you generalist stuff and then go and see them. So you've got to make sure you've qualified the right accountant. Maria, as I said, come to me, and she did go and qualify as a specialist property accountant, which you do need if you're in the property space. But she got advice to go and see this guy that was way beyond her level of business and goals. So she sees an accountant that is absolutely phenomenal, by the way, so I'm not criticizing the accountant, but way too big. Like, as for somebody who's got a group structure, big ambitions, multiple businesses, they benefit from seeing this guy. She didn't. She needed to see somebody different of that level of business. She needed to see somebody like maybe he's just like a sole trader as an accountant that's got understanding in property. Because when she come to me, she was just saying, oh, all I need to do is buy 2 more properties to pay this accountancy bill. It's like, well, no, what you need is a different accountancy that's got a lower price barrier and obviously a lower skill barrier, but that skill barrier with them will be relevant to where you are in your journey. So make sure you pick the right people. On our coaching program, we really help you go through picking the right strategy, the right accountants, qualify and disqualify call this, getting the right network around you. If you're interested in working with me on my accelerated program, put in the comments D2B, which stands for Deal Sourcing to BRR, and we can have a chat. It's no hard sell. We can have a chat about that and see if you're fit. But that aside, getting the right advice and getting the right structure that's individual to you is really, really, really important. So get yourself around the right people, get yourself the right accountants. Otherwise, I got wrong accountant at the start and really got my structure set up incorrectly. And now I'm going to have inheritance tax implications as a result of that. I've got a massive bill to try and unincorporate my properties where I could have maybe done that more tax efficiently. There's lots of advice that I got wrong because I had the wrong accountants. Accountants are okay, but they're just wrong within the property field. So if you want to learn how to pick your right accountant, what I've done is put together the power of your questions, power of your results, put together quick questions that you should be asking the accountant. So qualify and disqualify your accountant. If you want a PDF and a download of that for absolutely free, put in the comments accountant and we'll ping that over to you so you can ask the right question and do the right research. You don't need to be an expert to pick an accountant, and you don't need to be an expert in accountancy, which I'm far from. As I said, as a disclaimer, I just share what I have an understanding of to get you thinking, not to give you advice, basically, so you can think outside the box, because you just don't know what you don't know, and neither does the accountants that you'll be picking sometimes don't know what they don't know. So I advise you within the realms of what their understanding is. So on this qualify and disqualify your accountant, this is a free download PDF. It'll just take you through a quick little brief of how to understand and what questions to ask them, why you ask them questions, and how to understand whether they are the right accountant for you. If you're still here, make sure you smash that subscribe button. It really does help this channel. Please share this out. My wife's live on my terms. My mission is to help as many people live on their terms using education, mindset, property as a vehicle to do that. So please share it with somebody you think will get value from this. Comment below what your thoughts are. And remember, if you don't evolve your ideas, you'll never live on your own terms. So evolve your ideas, live on your own terms, and have an amazing day. And don't forget to watch this video that YouTube is suggesting that you'll like next.